Pranam to all.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Dandavat Pranam
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Om
Krishna,
Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadadi Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sakagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabhadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sakagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo 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 Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatade Satarine Nama Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanyaya Namne Gauratishe Namaha Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagatitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Ram Hare Hare Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupaswarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktyakam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Sarvopadi Vinirmuttam Tatparatvena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. Okay, Hare Krishna, welcome all for today's morning program. Okay, so let's. Yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So let's begin our share. For doing this, let's do one sloka from Purushottama. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, so let me. Okay, so is the screen visible?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay. So we are in this auspicious month. Very nice to hear chapter 15, Purushottama Sloka. So now we'll try and recite this sloka number 15, 16, because in these last few days, it is good to recite these 5 slokas, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. In the starting of Purushottama chapter, Lord, up to sloka number 15, Lord is talking about the presence of 2 kinds of worlds. One is the material world, another is the spiritual world. And he's also telling where is the material world, what is the nature of the material world. He's telling where is the spiritual world, what is the nature of spiritual world. Then he's also telling about who's dwelling in these places. So in the material world, what kind of people live, and the spiritual world, what kind of people live. And who are these living entities? These living entities are, we recited 15.15, Mamai Vamshaji. We recited 15.15, where Krishna says the living entities recite the Vedic Shastra. And they understand me as the conclusion of this entire creation. And then he's also telling that these living entities are part and parcel of me. That means they're qualitatively similar to me. They are very infinitesimal, that's all. Otherwise, qualitatively, they are just like me. Now, in the last part of the fourth five slokas, 16 to 20, Krishna is trying to tell that he's going to the detail. We'll see what the detail is. Very brilliantly he's explaining. Okay. BG 15.16. It says, Dva imau purushau loke sharas cha aksharas eva cha sharas sarvani bhutani kutasto akshara uchate. Now look at this very, very beautiful sloka. Let's see the synonyms. Dvau means two. There are two. Okay. Imau, these Purusha, living entities located in the world. That means in this entire creation, there are two types of living entities. That's what he says, though imo Purusha loke. Then he says, who are those? Sharas, Akshara, Evacha. Who are Shara? Shara means who are infallible. Shara means fallible. Fallible means what? Who have fallen down. Okay. Then who is Akshara? Akshara is infallible. Infallible means who have certainly not fallen down. Okay. So these are the two kinds of people that are there in these two places. So we have the system of caste and all sorts of things where divisions are too intense and too much. But Krishna doesn't say all those things. He says only there are two kinds of people. Who are fallen down, who are not fallen down. Now what is the meaning of fallen down? Fallen down is very simple. There are people, all my living entities, because they're part and parcel of me, their constitutional position, that means the ingredients of themselves, is completely transcendental, spiritual in nature. But however, since all the living entities are completely spiritual in nature, however, there are one set of people who have spiritual disturbances, distractions in their consciousness. And there are one set of people who are completely aligned and just not disturbed about their spiritual consciousness and very stable. So there are two kinds of people, infallible and fallible. Right? Infallible people are the people who are spiritual consciousness is not disturbed, not distracted. They're intact. They remember Krishna. They always demonstrate their gratitude to the Lord. They always in service of the Lord. And they live with the Lord in all aspects. Live with the Lord does not mean they live in the same house. They live in consciousness of the Lord at all points in time. Right? So those are the infallible people, aksharas. The sharas are the one who are fallible. Consciousness is very disturbed. They are very distracted. So what happens when I'm distracted? For example, a student who is studying his books for his exams, he's very much distracted. You see, the subject matter cannot go into his consciousness properly. Second, can he write the exams properly? Can he do his practicals in the laboratory properly? No, he'll miss everything. You'll see everywhere there's a failure. This is a symptom of a distracted student. He says a spiritually distracted personality also is similar. He does not want to live with Krishna. Why can't I be independent? Why can't I do things what I want to do, whether it's right or wrong? So with such personalities, they are attracted by Maya. So when such person are attracted by Maya, Mayas influences their consciousness, and hence they get deviated towards that consciousness. But remember, both are originally Mamaivamsa Jiva Loka, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. They're part and parcel of Krishna, but because their spiritual consciousness is distracted, they have taken a different path. Okay, and let's look at the third line. Sharha Sarva Bhutani. Sarva Bhutani. Bhutani means living entities. Sarvani means all. So, Sharha Sarva Bhutani means referred to, that means all the fallen living entities, all the fallen living entities, they live in the material world. That means, if you reverse the statement, it means that anyone you see in this material world are people who have got a disturbed spiritual consciousness. That disturbance could be 100% that they're completely forgotten Krishna, or could be 80%, 70%, 50%, whatever it may be. That's called Sharha Sarva Bhutani. But if you look at the next line, Kutasto Akshara Uchate. Okay, so Kutasto Akshara Uchate, see it says in oneness, where you can be in oneness with Krishna, in the spiritual world, and they're infallible. Okay, so they live in the spiritual world, they live along with Krishna. Whatever life they lead, they're Krishna-centric. There's nothing outside of Krishna that they live. They're sheltered, cared, loved by the Lord. There is so much of gratitude for each other. In the material world, gratitude is a big problem. Right? People want to take, but they don't want to give. That is the problem. The take can be gross, the take can be subtle. Right? In the material world, people want to exploit others, somehow take advantage from others so that they live happily. That's the nature of this material world. And hence, you see, the karmic reactions for such a consciousness keeps on going like a chain reaction. The karmic reactions extend in a chain reaction in such a manner that people get entangled birth after birth after birth. Causes the suffering. So hence Krishna says, Sharas Sarva Bhutani means the material world has living entities who are fallible, and they are influenced by what? They're influenced by their own karma. They're influenced by the reactions of their own karma. Today, I fought with one devotee. I may think that I somehow defeated him. Somehow I overpowered him. But Kala is so powerful, it'll turn the dial. And you'll see, multiplied factor, I will be put into such a situation. Multiplied factor. What's multiplied factor? If my difficulty to that devotee was, let's say, 5x, karma will say, no, you enjoy 100x failure. So 100x I will fail. That means I will be put into such a situation when the Kala dials. That is called Kala Chakra. Right? So people in this material world are influenced by their own karmic reactions. Okay, first thing. Second thing, they are put into these four aspects of birth, death, old age, and disease constantly, birth after birth. The spiritual soul doesn't go through any difficulties in terms of transformation, but the material body that we possess, it goes through all sorts of transformations. That's called your death, that's called your birth. Okay, the people in the material world go through Adi Bhautika, Adi Atmika, Adi Daivika. They go through the influence of these things. And most important, there is no one to save those people because they have forgotten Krishna and Krishna is away. Krishna doesn't come until you remember him, until you call him. So it is like in a jungle, you're all alone. No one to save you. So that's the biggest problem of these living entities. And what they do, they use their material intelligence in this world while they're alive. They use their material intelligence to try to save their lives in different forms, in different methods and aspects. Very difficult. and it leads to failure. Failure after another failure. So that is the nature of the people in the Saraha Sarva Bhutani. But people in the spiritual, what to do? They possess a spiritual body. It doesn't change at all. If you take a span of 1,000 years, a person would have changed his body maybe 10 to 20 times or 30 times, depending on the nature of the body he possesses. And every day when he changes his body, the whole cycle and the effort is new. All the memory and the knowledge is lost. Again, he regains. You see, it is stupidly he is just regaining the same knowledge again and again. Hard labor. But in the spiritual world, they don't possess such a body. They possess such a transcendental body. The chit potency is so intense that once they heard, once they learned, they never forget millions and millions of millenniums and millions of lifetimes. That's it, because the body doesn't change. The memory doesn't get, deteriorated, nothing. There's no disease, there's no old age. That is the position of the people in the spiritual world. There is no Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Adidevika. Everything is completed. There is no astrological speculations and predictions because everything is controlled by the Lord. This is the nature of people in the spiritual world. In the material world, not just the living entities in the Bhuloka, even the higher living entities in Svargaloka, and even up to Brahmaji, the creator of this, secondary creator of this material world, all go through the same phenomena in a different manner. Only when devotees who have realized that by possessing a spiritual consciousness which is in a disturbed state, that we can never cross this material ocean. So such personalities, they take up the process of Krishna consciousness. They read, they think about Krishna, they remember Krishna at all points in time. They keep paying their gratitude to the Lord for everything that has been given, whether it is suffering, whether they are enjoying. Both times they pay their gratitude to the Lord. So you see, devotees means life is full of gratitude. Non-devotees means ingratitude, no gratitude at all. They are only receivers of what they think is fruitful, profitable. But devotees, they don't care whether they lose or gain. Their focus is instructions of the Acharya, instructions of the Lord. This is the qualitativeness of a devotee. So there is no Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Adidevika, nothing can influence. So hence you see, the position of the people in the spiritual world are always Satchit Ananda, Ananda Abhyasa, always in that state. The position of the living entities in the material world are always Chanchal, anxiety, what next, what next? And they don't know what next. That's the beauty. They don't know what's going to happen next 1 hour. But they're anxious so much. So that's the difference between the two worlds, and that's the difference between two personalities. Even though both are completely transcendental spiritual, the consciousness is the missing link. Remember this. Consciousness is the missing link. That's what makes a man great. And that's what makes a man poor. Okay. So let's read the translation. There are two classes of beings, fallible and infallible. In the material world, living entity is fallible. Spiritual world, the living entity is called infallible. Lord concludes in this sloka. Very, very brilliant. Okay. So this 15th chapter is so beautiful because it makes us understand our real position. And how Krishna is called Purushottama. He's called Uttama Purusha. What is Purusha? Purusha means enjoy. Uttama means superior, topmost, the best in class. Hence it's called Uttama Purusha or Purushottama. So now you should understand how I'm connecting with such a Lord, such a great personality. See, if a great person comes and connects with us, he wants a friendship with us, even in the material world. Now let's say Ratan Tata wanted to become friends with us. Look at our state of mind, our consciousness. Oh wow, such a person is coming. what should do, what to do, that, this. And he's an ordinary living entity, that's all. But imagine when that Supreme Lord, Purusha Uttama, wants to make relationship with us and is trying, what should be the state of bliss and the consciousness we should possess? And that's what is important to be understood. Right? And hence this Purushottama Masa really helps us to understand this. Okay? By understanding this, the two greatest benefits are, first is uh, tribulations of this material energy we are not subject to. Even if you are subject to, it will keep coming down day after day after day. You will see life becomes more smooth. Have you seen a person in a hospital who's going through ECG? You'll see these unstable statements will just go like this. You can see that in the meter. Right? So devotees in this material world will reach slowly stable state. Very, very important. Non-affected by the tribulations of this material world. And whatever mercy they lost, that they suffered in this material world all these years, will be regained. They'll slowly receive the mercy of Krishna, through directly or indirectly. When they slowly receive, and mercy keeps cumulative effect. It keeps on adding up. Then you will see that devotee transforms. The transformation will be, you will see a devotee will become a sweet personality. If a devotee is saying that I'm practicing but behaves very badly, whatever may be the case, you can clearly understand that he's not a realized devotee. A realized devotee is one who has a very sweet in his personality, in his dealings, in his speech, in his vacha, in his manasa, everywhere. That is the first quality of a devotee. So reflect. Let's all reflect on ourselves. Am I a qualifying devotee? Am I not? What is the missing link in my consciousness that I'm not qualified for this? And let's march towards that link. And that is what is Purushottam. Okay? So now I want to narrate the story. Let's see what is the meaning of the story to this sloka. You know this Prabhupada story, right? Punar Mushiko Bhava. Right?
Yes.
Become a mouse again. Very, very beautiful story. So let's see what that story is trying to teach us. Okay? So there was this great sage who was doing his meditation in this forest. And while he was doing his meditation in this forest, there was this one small mouse which came, and when it came near the sage, it was really frightened. It was fearing. And the tail of the mouse was fully inside like this. That means so much of fear. So the sage, out of compassion, see, he showed mercy. No? He's showing mercy. He's showing compassion to the mouse. He's showing compassion to the mouse and is asking the mouse, hey, what do you want? Why are you frightened? Why are you suffering? So the mouse says, oh, wherever I go, there are cats. And these cats, they're just waiting for an opportunity to devour me, to kill me. So he said, okay, I'll give you strength so that you don't need to be fearful. What the sage did, he took the water from his kamandala, chanted the mantra, and sprinkled on the mouse. What happened to the mouse? The mouse, in a fraction of a second, became a cat, very strong cat. He said, now you should not have a problem from the cats. You can roam around in the forest very nicely. He said, oh, thank you so much. The cat ran. But after some time, the cat came back. Sometime meaning some days. The cat came back to the same sage, same in the consciousness of fearfulness, anxiety, and full of doubts in the heart. It came to the sage, and the sage asked, what happened now? So, oh, there are too many dogs around. The dogs are keep waiting for an opportunity to kill me. I'm not able to live in this place. Please save me. So again, compassion, again, mercifulness, the Lord showed. So the sage took the kamandala water, again sprinkled on it, saying that, oh, you can become a dog. It became very ferocious dog, strong, ferocious dog. After some days, again the dog came coming back, with its tail again fully gone inside and with a lot of anxiety and fear. Saying that, oh, Sage, now I have a problem with the tigers. There are lots of tigers in this place and they're waiting to devour me. So Sage said, okay, become a tiger. He made him such a ferocious tiger that all other tigers used to fear him, like that ferocious. And then he went around and became very ferocious. Then he was really becoming the king of the jungle. So one day I was thinking, if the sage can make me from a mouse to a cat to a dog to a tiger, for some reason, if someone else comes, or for some other reason that he makes me a cat mouse again, what do? No, it's very dangerous. I better kill the sage off. If I kill him, then there won't be anyone to change my body further. So what the tiger was trying to do, tiger was ready to pounce back on the sage to devour him. But the sage is very, very transcendental, right? He can understand the consciousness of the person very quickly. We can, today there is a technique called mind reading, right? They try to read the mind of the opponent. So those days, this mind reading is an artificial new technique, but they can't read the mind. Those days, they can understand who is speaking, what is his consciousness, just like that. So the sage said, oh, I gave you everything, but you're now ready to kill me back. What sort of gratitudeless person you are. So I said, you become a mouse again. Now look at the cycle. We start with a mouse, back to a mouse. So similarly, we living entities are also starting with this life form from an insect, from maybe a plant. By the causeless mercy, we come up to the stage of a human being. The evolution table, the spiritual evolution table that we have. So we've got the body of a human being, but initially we get the body of what is called as an uncivilized human being. Like you can see, you can go to the tribals, you can see the tribals, they don't wear dress, they're naked, they eat something, they scream something. You see, human being, all parts exist in human being, but uncivilized. By the causeless mercy, by the act of Adi Bhautika, of course, they're all secondary actors, we evolve into a civilized human being. You see, it is the causeless mercy that made us move from the plant forms to the human forms, and from a uncivilized human form to a civilized human form. Now, in the civilized human form, we're well educated, we got the mercy to be opulent, we have everything, but what do we do? Rather than demonstrating our gratitude towards God consciousness, what do? We try to cheat, enviness, overpower others, exploit, and develop all these negative qualities. What is the point in giving you that mercy and evolving you into a civilized human being for you to behave like this? What nature does. Punarmushiko bhava. It puts you back into a plant or an insect form. This is the act of nature. So this is what you have to understand. A human form that I possess today is a great opportunity. How can I misuse them? I should use it in service of Krishna. I shall become a lovable person to every living entity that I meet in this world. That should be the quality of consciousness that we possess. So, the body is same, the soul is same. What is the missing point? The consciousness. Consciousness is the missing link. Let's evolve the consciousness. Let's evolve the consciousness to something, very divine. Mahatmanastu mam partha, daivim prakritim ashrita. That consciousness we shall possess. That should be the real goal of one's life. Okay? So, I felt like giving this sort of an introduction so that we can take up things more seriously in whatever we are doing. Thus, we can become greater and greater in whatever practices that we are doing. This is the key. Okay. Any thoughts, reflections, what we discussed? No, no thoughts, no.
Wonderful advice, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Great eye opener, Prabhu.
Okay, so my point is every sloka, every story that Prabhupada narrated has so much in-depth meaning like this. One aspect of devotees, what do? They just mug up this story and then they see the externals of the story. But you should not do that. You should first understand why Prabhupada narrating the story. What is the meaning? And what is the inner purpose of the story? If you relate that message on our practice of our life will change. If you read it as a story, like I met one of my classmates from my engineering college a few days back. So somehow he bumped and then it became that, oh, you're doing in ISKCON, you're doing spiritual life, that this. And then he said, Mahabharata and Ramayana, this topic came up. He said, I've read all these things. Oh, is it? Is there something that you liked in it? There's nothing in it here. One is land dispute and politics. Another is kidnap story. What is the difference? So I could control my laughter. He said, this is what you understand from Mahabharata and Ramayana. Okay. So then I was thinking that how much one can be in ignorance by concluding in one liner like this. So long journey to go. So we have a long journey to go too, because the revelation and the realization is so deep. And by constant practice and by the mercy of the Lord, we can get to it. But we also have a very long journey to go. So let's not waste time. Let's move faster. Okay. Okay, so let's continue our reading chapter 6, text 10.14. So now we've explained a lot of the characteristics of the 10 characters of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now 14 onwards, we'll be more quickly reading through the key underlying messages and we'll move forward. So we'll move a little bit faster. Okay. Adidevam atadhyatmam adibhutam adiprabhu ataikam paurisham vidyam trida vidyate tachrunu. Just hear from me how the potency of his lordship divides one into three. Call the controlling entity, the controlled entities, and the material bodies in the manner mentioned above. Right? So now we've read all these things, but he's just summarizing it now. Right? He's summarizing in such a manner that he's demonstrating the position, the superior position of Krishna, the Creator. Okay. 1.5. Antah sharira akashat purushasya vichestatah ojah saho balam jagne tatah prano mahanashuhu. From the sky situated within the transcendental body of manifesting Mahavishnu, sense energy, material force, bodily strength are all generated, as well as the sum total of the fountainhead of the total living force. So that means you should understand we are a living force, and there's a total living force, and we are part and parcel of this living force. Let's assume this total living force changes its characteristics. We'll also change. That's how we get a particular pattern in our body structure. If this total living force collapses, we also collapse. We cannot exist beyond it. That's the point we should understand. And we should understand who's controlling and who's the creating and controlling and maintaining total living force is the Supreme. So that means in a gross level also he's controlling, and a minute level, that is at the living entity also he's controlling. Controlling means he's the influencers of all life. That's what it means. Okay. 10.16. Anu prananti yam pranaha pranantam sarva jantusu apanantam apnanti naradevam ivanugaha. As the followers of a king follow their lord, right? You've seen that, no? Wherever king goes, his subjects, everyone, they follow. They follow him into his, visits outside the city. They follow him wherever they go. They just follow him. Similarly, when the total energy is in motion, total energy of the Lord, this thing. For example, this golden shell, this anda, is actually rotating at a certain speed. Okay, so it's in motion. All of the living entities within that, they are also in motion. When the total energy stops endeavoring, all of the living entities stop sensual activities. So how do we understand this? Simple example is an aircraft. Okay, so now the aircraft is in motion. You all get into the aircraft. You also sit on the chair. You will see that you are not in motion. Okay, now suddenly the aircraft starts to fly. It starts to fly at about 1,000 kilometers an hour, 2,000 kilometers an hour. Even though it's traveling at such great speed, you don't feel that you're moving or traveling as far as you're within that aircraft. Why? You can just get up and you can walk around. You won't even know because you are now part and parcel of that aircraft. Once you come out of the aircraft, you will see that, oh, what a speed it is in. I can't believe this. So this is the point. Because we are part of this motion, this total evolution, the creation, we don't feel that we are separated out. Otherwise, you can see there's a phenomenal energy and the speed that which is. Okay? And this total energy is that Supreme Purusha. Okay? That's what it means. Okay. The point to understand is, while we are in the aircraft, we are not independent. We are part and parcel of the aircraft. But we think we are independent because we are able to walk around, stand, do this, do that, whatever we want. We feel we are independent, but we are not. Right? And that's the illusion it creates. Even in the material world, we are actually part of the total plan, but we feel independent. The same phenomenon of illusion. That's what happens. Okay, 10.17. Pranane Shipata Shutrud Antara Jayate Vibhu Pipashato Jaksatascha Pran Mukam Nirabidhyate. The living force being agitated by the Virata Purusha generated hunger and thirst. And when it desired to drink and eat, the mouth opened. Right? So look at the phenomenal action of Purusha, Virata Purusha. Virata Purusha is Krishna. Okay, well, let's look at the purport. Can someone read the purport here?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Can you read, Prabhu? Yeah. The process by which all living beings in the womb of the mother develop their sense organs and sense perceptions appears to follow the same principles in the case of Virat Purusha, the sum total of all living entities. Therefore, the supreme cause of all generation is not impersonal without desire
Or without desire.
or without desire. The desire for all kinds of sense perception and sense organs exist in the Supreme, and thus they take place in the individual persons. That this desire is the nature of the Supreme Living Being, the absolute truth, because he has the sum total of all mouths. The individual living entities have mouths, similarly with all other senses and sense organs. Here, the mouth is a symbolic representation of all sense organs. For the same principles apply to the others also. Hare Krishna.
Others also. Okay, so very important. How do we develop our characteristics? Right? So what is trying to explain here? For example, a human body has a human child, the mother is pregnant. The constitutional nature, the physical structure and nature of the child will be exactly replicating to the person who's carrying it. That is that mother. So for example, if the mother is a human, the child is also a human child. Let's say a mother is a lion, the child is also a lion. The mother is an elephant, the child is also an elephant. It is not possible for a mother to be an elephant, a child to be a human being. It is not possible. That's what he's trying to say. So hence you'll see the principles of Virata Purusha same applies to us, and we'll be a derivative of that, and there's no difference. Whatever senses we possess, whatever the sense actions, whatever the sense activities, the sense derivatives, everything is derived from Virata Purusha. That's what you have to understand. Okay? Okay. So now when we understand, oh, I'm a derivative of like this, like this, like that, this is how I get my sense gratification. This is how I sense activation I get. Then I should understand there is no question of impersonality. There's no question of, any other aspects of the Lord does not have gunas, qualities, nothing. No. It is His qualities derived into me. If I have those, then He also has. That's what you have to understand. Hence, you can actually smash the entire concept of impersonalism through this method. Okay, 10.18. Mukattastalu nirbinnam jivva tatropajayate tato nan raso jagne jivva yayo adigamayate. From the mouth, the palate became manifested. And thereupon the tongue was also generated. After this, all the different tastes came into existence, so the tongue can relish them. You see the sequence. See the sequence. What is palate? Palate are sensory taste buds that can be receptors of taste that are coming. Okay, now once there is a receptor, then there need to be a transmitter. The transmitter is your tongue. So from the tongue, you will see that these taste buds as receivers also placed. So now with this combination, when you eat good tasty food, the tongue can understand this taste, transmit them to the receptors. The receptors know, oh, I'm eating tasty food, I'm eating bad food, I'm eating stale food, I'm eating healthy food. All these things it understands, and it does the activity. See, this is the point. See how beautifully. It's greatest engineering here. It's greatest engineering. There's nothing else in this. Okay. Text 10.19. Oh, maybe this is actually a very good purport. We can read this purport also. Someone read the purport. Rivol?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I read Prabhu?
Read.
Yes, sir. The process by which all living beings in the womb of the mother develop their sense organs and sense perceptions appears to follow the same principles in the case of the Virat Purusha. The sum total of all...
Prabhu, 1918, Prabhu.
Purport, Prabhu, 18. This gradual.
Okay, Prabhu, sorry. This gradual process of evolution suggests the explanation of the controlling deities Adi Daiva, because Varuna is the controlling deity for all relishable juices. Therefore, the mouth becomes the resting place for the tongue, which tastes all the different juices, of which
Controlling deity.
The controlling deity is Varuna. 1 minute, Prabhu. Varuna. This suggests, therefore, that Varuna was also generated along with the development of the tongue. The tongue and the palate, being instrumental or adibhutam, are forms of matter, but the functioning deity, who is a living entity, is Adidaiva, whereas the person undergoing the function is Adhyatma.
You understood,
Thus,
no? Daiva
yes.
is who's a controller.
Yes.
And Adhyatma is we who are being controlled. Huh?
Control. Yes, bro. Thus, the three categories are also explained as to their birth after the opening of the mouth of the Virat Purusha. The four principles mentioned in this verse serve to explain the three main principles, namely the Adhyatma, Adidaiva, and Adibhutam, as explained before.
So now we can see when we say tongue of Vishnu is the Agnikunta, now we can see where this origination is. So this is all related to that. Okay.
Prabhu,
Yeah.
in the
Yes.
part of it, Prabhu, Adhyatma and Adidaiva, I understood. The Adibhutam,
No. Adibhutam is nothing but Bhautikam, that environment, the material world as an instrument.
but in relation to this development of this mouth, tongue and the palate being instrumental, or forms of
So the ingredients of the tongue and the palate is Adibhutam.
Okay.
The creation is by the Adi Daiva, the receiver is by the Adi Atma, and the one who does the ingredients of that is the Adi Putra.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So 10.19. Okay. Vivakshor mukhatho bhumno vagnir va vyahritam tayaho chale chaitasya suchiram nirodha samjayate. When the Supreme desires to speak, speeches were vibrated from the mouth. Then the controlling deity, fire, was generated from the mouth, but when he was lying in the water, all this function remained suspended. So you can see the time of the souls being awakened, the time of the souls being dissolution, going into the womb again. So this is what is the two situations. Okay. Okay. So let's go to 10:20. Nashike nirbidhetyam do dyoti nabashvati tatra vayur gandavaho grano nashi jikshataha. Thereafter, when the Supreme Purusha desired to smell odors, the nostrils, the respiration were generated, a nasal instrument, odor came to existence, and the controlling deity of air carrying smell also became manifested. So, the Lord is the one who is the initiator. When the Lord glances this material world, he glances step by step like this. Now he is glancing to talk about the smell, all these things, so respiratory organ system, all these things are getting developed. So the controlling deity, what is he doing? He is supplying what needs to be given to the Adi Atma. The Adi Atma is the receiver and he is able to experience all these things. That's what it is. Okay, 21. Yada Atmani Niralokam Atma Namcha Didikshataha Nirbhinne ki Akshinitasya Jyotis Chakshur Gunagraha. Thus, when everything existed in darkness, initial creation, it was dark. The Lord desired to see himself and all that was created. Then the eyes, the illuminating sun god, the power of vision, and the object of sight all became manifested. Right? So now you see why something else is coming. So now you see the Lord created the whole thing in such a manner that everything is dependent on each other. There are three objects. One is the eyes, which is receiving the light. One is sun, who is the producer of the light. The third is something must be there to interpret this light and able to make it into meaningful purposes. So you see all these three. Even if eyes is not there, what is the use of sun? If let's say all the living entities produced did not have eyes, then what's the purpose of sun? There's no use of sun being existing. Okay. Now let's say all of us have eyes, but the sun did not exist. Then what's the purpose of we having eyes? We cannot see anything. So that's the point. So the point is, you can see how the Lord makes every creation in such a manner that everything is interdependent on each other. We cannot sustain independently. So that means, if you understand this so deeply, our independent mentality should go away. And that is the cause of our problem. We are never independent. We always are dependent. Okay. So that's what they understand here. Okay. Let's go to 22. Bodhyamanasya rishibir atmanastaj jigrishatah karnau cha nirbidyetam vishahastrotam gunagraha. By development of the desires of the great sages to know the ears, the power of hearing, the controlling deity of hearing, the objects of hearing became manifested. The great sages decide to hear about the self. Right? So if we don't have ears, how will we hear Srimad Bhagavatam? If we have ears and if there's no speaker at all of Srimad Bhagavatam, then who will give this knowledge to us? Okay. Even if there's a speaker existing, even if we have all the ears, if the subject matter of Bhagavatam doesn't exist, then what will we hear? So you see how the Lord creates the interdependency, and there's a purpose behind each and every creation. Even the smallest, if you see your nails on your body, very special there. Why? See, the nail is considered dead matter. That's why when you cut the nail, you see there's no pain, no blood comes. But if you cut any other part of the body, you'll see, if you cut, you'll see there's a pain, the blood comes. Yet it grows. Huh? We said nail is like a dead matter of the object, but yet it grows. See, that's the beauty of creation. Now you should understand, how is it possible then? We are talking about either living thing, which is dead, no transformation, nothing, or lively thing which will transform. But you have a combination of both, which is your nail and your hair on your body, which can exhibit this phenomenon. How is it possible? See, that's the beauty. So there's a purpose behind every creation. And why and how the Lord is speaking. So that's why this is very, very glorious. Okay, so now we'll go to the next section of this text. And now all the senses, why we got certain senses, why we got certain types, how this happened, all these things we just discussed in this class. Okay, now 10.23. Vastuno mridu katimya lagu gurav oshanastitam jigrikshatas tom binna tashyam roma mahiruha tatra chantar bahirvatas tvacha labda gunovritaha. Now let's see what is coming up. When there's a desire to perceive physical characteristics of matter, such as softness, hardness, warmth, cold, lightness, heaviness, the background of sensation, the skin pores, the hair on the body, and the controlling deities, the trees were generated. Within and outside the skin is a covering of hair through which sense perception became prominent. Right? So you see, each of the bodies have different characteristics. And they're created for a purpose. The purpose is to realize Ahameva Vedyam. Krishna is Ahameva Vedyam. That's why the purpose is. But what we do, we keep looking at these dependencies and see, oh, there's an advantage there, take that. There's an advantage there, take this. For example, oh, the skin of an animal is much more robust and strong. So if I use that, then I can be more comfortable. So what I do, I kill animals, take the skin out of it, and they use it for my comfort. You see the missing link here. Okay. The tusk of an elephant is very, very powerful, very high in quality. Let's take that. But it is an extension of our bone. But what are we doing? Because I have a fruitive mentality, I kill the elephant, take the suck of that bone, and use it for my purpose. You see how I'm exploitative to the material world. Every aspect of this material creation. Not just this. You take a wool of a sheep, you take this thing of a yak, you take the skin of a camel. Everything this living entity keeps exploiting. Even these organs that have been created by the Lord for the purpose of that animal, in order to evolve into the next, that also has been exploited by us. That's the nature that we have. So hence we have a problem. Okay. Text 24. Hastaururuhatus chasya nana karma chikitshaya tayostu balavan indra adanam uvayashrayam. Therefore, when the Supreme Person desired to perform various work, the two hands and the controlling deities, that is karmendriyas. Now, all this time we talked about jnanendriyas, now we're talking about karmendriyas. The two hands, the controlling strength, the Indra, the demigod in heaven, became manifested. It is also acted upon on both hands and the demigod. Right? So now we're possessing hands and legs for what purpose? You see how the Lord creates. And there's a controlling deity. That's what you have to understand. There's a creator by the Supreme Lord. There's a controlling deity, and then we, the receiver. We being acted upon. So what are the two factors that we act upon? All of us are into an evolution journey as per our karma. Okay. On this path of karma, we have desires. We have developed desires. Being in the material world, we develop material desires. So Krishna, what does he do? He intercepts that desire by giving spiritual aspects, books, Harinam, Guru, devotees, Prashadam, the Rupa Madhuri of the deities, all of these things they intercept us. Oh, I'm going to a material path with my material senses. No, this is what is the goal. I change and walk towards my spiritual path. Use all these things in this direction. And that's the whole point here. Okay. Okay, now let's read 25. Gatim jijishatah padau Guru hate avikamikam padbyam yagnaha swayam havyam karma bihi kriyate nirbihi. Thereupon, because of his desiring to control movement, his legs became manifested, and from the legs controlled by the deity named Vishnu was generated. By his personal supervision of this act, all varieties of human beings are busily engaged in dutiful occupational sacrifice. So with Karmendriyas, we're very busy with our occupation. Keep on doing it. Why is the word sacrifice used? Because we possess so much of energy by the Lord's mercy, and that energy we're dissipating onto what we understood as my prescribed occupation, which could be on the material plane. But what is my prescribed occupation? According to my Varna and Ashrama. Okay. Varnashrama vibhagashah svanuttatasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Okay. Let's go to sloka number 26. See, in any of these topics, if you're not able to understand, Prabhu, why leg like this, why smell like this, why my life like this, why like that, you can ask a question, I'll explain. But these topics we've discussed quite heavily in so many sections of Bhagavatam. That's why I'm just reading the translation moving forward. Okay. If you read the 9th and 10th chapter and 7th chapter, you will see Krishna says there, Prasoham ipsi kaunteya prabhashmi sasishuryayo pranava sharva vedeshu saptaki paurusham rishu. So Krishna says, what's the taste of water? How? I am the taste of water. I am the Ganges. I am the king, considered the lion. I am the tallest of the mountains. Like that he says, I am the purest of the Vedas. I am knowledge. So where you can see that related to here. That's what it is. Nirabidyata Shishnuvai Prajananda Amritatinaha Upashta Ashit Kamanam Priyam Tat Upayashrayam. Therefore, for sexual pleasure, begetting offspring and testing heavenly nectar, the Lord developed the genitals. And thus there is a genital organ and its controlling deity, the Prajapati. The object of sexual pleasure and controlling deity are under the control of genitals of the Lord. So you can see the purpose. The purpose of sexual pleasure and betting is only to do progeny according to the plan of Prajapati, which was instructed by Lord Brahma. So the object of sexual pleasure is not just to please the genitals. Genitals and organs exist, but there's a purpose. But we misuse the purpose. Why we misuse the purpose? Because of our material lust. Why we have material lust? Because we have spiritual disturbed consciousness. That's the point here. Okay. Let's go to 10.27. Vutsishrikshor dhatumalam neravidyate vaigudam tataha payus tato mitra utsarga ubhayashrayah. Thereafter, when you desire to evacuate the refuse of eatables, the evacuating hole, the anus, and sensory organs thereof developed with the controlling deity Mitra. The sensory organ and the evacuating substance are all both under the shelter of the controlling deity. So that means you can see, if I want to see, there's a controlling deity. If I want to hear, there's a controlling deity. If I want to touch, there's a controlling deity. For the genital, there's a controlling deity. For digestion, there's a controlling deity. To breathe, to take intake, and to breathe out, to survive in this world, there's a controlling deity. Even to extricate whatever we ate, even to push that out of our body, that is also controlling deity. So that's how Krishna created. That means every cell in our body, for it to get activated, for it to work, what it do, there's a controlling deity. So for example, let's take cancer, right? So why people get cancer is because the cells, which is part and parcel of their own body, they become rebellious to the whole body. So for example, a skin on a finger, they're made up of maybe, let's say, 10,000 cells. All these cells group together, they become rebellious to that entire hand, the body, and mind in totality. So they keep influencing others, and they become rebellious. That's how mutiny happens now. For example, there's a strike happens. It's not that 1 or 2% can do the strike. They'll tell others, they'll tell others, they'll tell others. He will tell him. And you'll see from 5 people, from a leader, 5,000 people get together, they'll perform strike. That's what we see in newspapers, right? So similarly, with one cell which becomes rebellious, they become two. So what do we do cancer? The best way of cancer is to remove that cancerous cells and you live happily. That's the point. So here what Krishna is trying to do, Krishna is trying to say, rebellious souls are cancerous cells or cancerous souls in me. So I separate them from the liberated souls. I separate the rebellious souls and treat them, give opportunities so that they lose away their cancerous thought and they regain to come back to me. And that's the whole point. Right? So while doing this cleansing, he's evolving so many of these things. Now he's talking about evolution in different aspects. And that's what we can see. Okay, so let's read 28.
Prabhu, can you repeat that cancerous cell part of it?
So you understood how cancer works, no? So cancer is nothing but in a particular body, a cell or a group of cells. Someone chatting. Okay. So in a particular body, a cell or a group of cells, they become rebellious to the body. That means they are the one who cause, instead of doing their functions, they do anti-functions to the body. Okay? And they keep spreading. How they keep spreading? One cell infects another cell. Here, infection means does not for pus or anything, but communicates. You also become rebellious. We don't want to be part of this body. Something very similar to how a strike happens in a society. It triggers from one person, the word spreads. Oh, we don't want this leader, we don't want this policy, we don't want this, they fight against. So, the country takes care of its own citizens, but those citizens itself, rebellious to the government. So similarly, our body also possesses cells, and these cells become anti to us. So similarly, Krishna says, Mamai Vamsa Jiva, that means all creation are living entities or part and parcel of me. For example, there are 1 billion creation. And of course, there are much more. 1 billion living entities. Out of that, 600 million are very nice to Krishna, and they're good. They're non-cancerous cells. They live in the spiritual world. The 400 million cells have somehow become rebellious to Krishna. Even though they're part and parcel of Krishna, they become rebellious. They're cancerous in nature. So Krishna is not killing the 400 millions. What is he doing? He's reforming them. He's putting them to a separate place, which is the material world, and teaching them all these things. Don't do this, do this, don't do this. Time, memory. Why? Because we are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna won't kill his own himself. That's why he doesn't destroy us. He only reforms us. That's the whole point. Yeah, does it help, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, so let's read sloka number 20. We'll read till 30 today. Okay. Ashishripsoha purha purya navidwaram apanatah tatra panastato mrityu prataktvam ubhayashrayam. Thereafter, when you desire to move from one body to another, transmigration of the soul, the navel and the air of departure and death were combinedly created. That means who is that he refers to? He refers to the soul, not the body. The soul which is encapsulated within a body, now he says, okay, I don't want this body anymore. I want to move. Why? Many reasons. Zillion reasons. We don't know. So at that time, what happened? The navel and the air departure and death were combined together. That means you say pranavayu that goes out of this body. He says your death. So that's death and pranavayu combined together to create this effect of death. The navel is the shelter of both, namely death and separating force. Okay. This is clear, right? It's very clear.
How the navel comes into the picture, Prabhu? Here?
Navel is the life force entry point now. From the mother.
When we are in the womb of mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Thank you, Prabhu.
If you see the mother, the umbilical cord that goes from the mother through the navel into your body.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Got it.
So the entire, even though the soul is present, the entire formation of this pranavayu is happening through this only. See, with so much of liquid and everything, will you be able to do swasa in the body? You can't, no?
No, we cannot.
The nostrils and lungs, they don't work inside the body. Everything is happening through the navel, through this, what is called fallopian tube. Like that. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Soul enters through Urdhva Pundra, but the body functions for the soul is what this is talking about. Okay.
Prabhu.
10.29. Aditsor anna pana nam asan kukshi antra nadyah samudras chatayos tushtihi pushtistat ashraye. When there was a desire to have food and drink, the abdomen and intestines are also arteries became manifested. Look at everything is desire based. Because I'm desiring to see, I have eyes. Because I'm desiring to eat, oh, and I need to have a digestive system. The rivers and seas are the source of their sustenance and metabolism. Okay. Let's read 30. Nididyasor atmamayam hridayam nirabidyate tato manas chandra iti sankalpakama evacha. Now, the moon is the most important characteristics. So there are two things that we should know. How this Earth as a planet is being protected or activated. So, for example, if you go to the space, you will see there are many meteors and comets and strange alienating objects that are floating around. So, because of the position of the Jupiter, okay, the Jupiter rotates in certain speed, and the position of Saturn, the rings of the Saturn, all these external objects, comets and all these things that are coming, which can come and hit the Earth and devastate the Earth, that's it. It's taken away. That's why you see, from the date of creation, you will not see any disturbing element coming and hitting this Earth. Who's protecting it? You think it's accidental? No. No. The Earth is rotating 23 or 26 degrees tilted angle on its orbit. Okay, I think it's 23 degrees. Tilted angle on its orbit. And it is revolving. Okay. Actually, Bhagavatam says the Earth doesn't revolve or rotate. It is stationary, but all other things revolves. So we'll go into the 5th canto, that time we'll discuss that how. But for now, because you don't know 5th canto, I'm just telling the Earth is revolving. Okay. Now, the moon is also revolving. Sorry, both are rotating. Okay. Moon is rotating, Earth is also rotating. So now, the Earth may go into a wobbly, you know what, like this. A wobbly orbit or a wobbly motion very easily, but that wobbly nature is controlled by the moon. The moon is the one that controls so that the Earth has a non-seamless motion. That means zero jitters. Have you seen earthquakes now, how it vibrates? Like that. But Earth doesn't vibrate at all because the moon controls it. So the moon controls, influences the Earth of many, many characteristics of the Earth's entire activity. So that's what is being told here also in Sloka. Let's see what it is. Nididyasor atmamayam hridayam nirabidyate tato manas chandra iti sankalpa kama evacha. When there was a desire to think about the activities of his own energy, then the heart, the seat of the mind, the moon, the determination of all desire become manifested. So, the moon is the one which influences the activity of the mind and the heart. Even in astrology, you know what they say? If his buddhi, that means the sublord and the lord, the sublord mainly, is Chandra. If Chandra Bhagavan is not favoring, you will see either he'll become very dull-headed or he'll become mentally insane. Something you will see unstable about this person is because when Chandra, influence of Chandra is improper for him. Astrology also proves it. And Lord also tells the same thing. Amazing it is. Okay. Okay, we'll do this last one sloka and end the last one. Tvakcharma mamsa rudira medo majasti datavaha bhumi api tejo maya sapta prano vyomambu vayubhihi. The 7 elements of the body, namely the thin layer of the skin itself, the flesh, blood, fat, marrow, and bone, are all made of earth elements, water and fire. Whereas the life breath is produced by the sky, water, and air. So the 5 gross elements, how they manifest, that is shown as our body today, is what is being mentioned. Okay? So Krishna says in the 7th chapter, Bhumi rapo nalovayu kammano buddhi revacha. Ankar ityam me binna pratyasara, separated part and parcel. There he says, apareyamatastwanyam apareyamatastwanyam prakritim viddhi me param jivapata mahabaho yayedam dariyate jagat. He says that these living entities who are encapsulated into this body which is made up of this gross element has a great opportunity to liberate or to be conditioned. And they possess, what he says, he's possessed. The gross body is 5 elements, this one, and also the subtle body, he says, the false mind and ego. False intelligence, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These 3 elements, they are the covering, which allows the consciousness to evolve in the right direction or in the wrong direction. So that's the key factor. That's why you say, no, in ISKCON, you would have mentioned that, oh, someone is very opulent, devotion service cannot reach him. Why? Because the ahankara, the false ego, is stopping him not to do that. Okay? So now you can see the connection of the 5 elements, the connection of the gross elements on this one, all kinds of creation of the Lord. So, Lord sitting on the Garbha ocean, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, by his Virata Purusha. That means he expands into the Virata Purusha, which covers the top planetary system, the middle planetary system, the lower planetary system, is evolving each and every finer elements of this creation through Brahmaji. And then what happens? Brahmaji creates a body, puts this one soul into it. Okay, what's your karma, man? According to karma, you have to be born to this parent. And according to your karma, your Kala Chakra will be pasted onto you. First 10 years, you will be very good in studies. Second 10 years, you will be very good in sports. Third 10 years, you will suffer out of this disease. Fourth 10 years, you will have this problem, that problem. Fifth 10 years, you'll be peaceful. Like that. That's Kala Chakra. So that means karma with Kala Chakra is embedded and put on this body. All done. But he is not active. So this Virata Purusha, he enters as Purushottama, that is as Paramatma, and activates. And when he activates, every purposes of this body which needs to be evolved is coming through that person. That's the point. Right? So we don't have a scope. Prabhupada says, 95% of it, you don't have your choice. You will lead life according to what is destined for you. No choice, no liberty at all. But you have 5% chance of your own independence. What is that independence? To choose spiritual life or not. But when you choose your spiritual life, this 5% can dominate your 95%. That's what Prabhupada says. Very brilliant it is. So hence, you see, when Krishna walks, right, there is light. There's beautiful glow of light. But the shadow portion of Krishna, which is the darker, ignorant portion, follows through Krishna all the time. That means, when we lead a spiritual life, the material life will follow us. But when we lead a material life, spiritual life won't follow us. That's the point here. Okay? So, take advantage of leading a pure spiritual life. Engage your mind, senses, consciousness in practicing spirituality. All aspects of material will serve this person. That's the beauty. Okay? I don't know. It was very technical today, looks like. All of you were silent. Did you all like it, or did you find it too complicated?
We enjoyed the Prabhu with rapt attention.
grant attention. Okay.
Very, very nice class, Prabhu. So
Very nice.
much of realization we got.
Okay.
Very, very nice, Prabhu. Very nice.
Okay, Mataji. Very good. Any other thoughts that you want to share? So now from 14 till 33, please read the purport. So now we only gave a summary level, why the sense organ, why this controlling deity, how Virata Purusha does that. We explained only those. So now more detailedly Prabhupada is given. If you read the purport, it will fix into your mind. Right? If you don't read the purport, you'll see that your knowledge is shallow, surface level. You go deeper, Deeper, you find greater things. Okay, any questions before we end the class? Hare Krishna. Any questions? Okay, so please read. And another 1 or 2 weeks, we'll be completing the Canto 2. Okay, Mataji says something. We never think like that about our body senses, so knowledgeable. Yeah. Our body is very powerful because it is created by Rishikesha. Very powerful it is. But somehow due to ignorance, we are not taking it seriously. That's the point, Mataji. We understand the power of our body, we will take it to the next level. But we are using our body in the wrong direction. For example, sports. You take Olympics for that matter. How much of effort, how much of money, how much of energy is used in order to maintain that body to win one medal. That person also will die. The next birth, you will not be a sports person. Right? So we have so much of energy, but we are using it in the wrong purpose. It's just getting dissipated, waste. Preserve that energy, use it in the right purpose. That's the point. Okay, so now another 1 or 2 classes will be ending Canto 2. So we'll be starting Canto 3. So we'll be regrouping into Canto 3. So please subscribe to Canto 3. And we'll open up also, many people can join Canto 3. So that you can understand the subject more deeper, more better. Okay. Thank you all for a wonderful association in the morning. Grandaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Vaishnava Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat pranam.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Krishna, Dandavat pranam, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So we'll end the class. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.